All right. All right, guys. I want to first say thank you. We're gonna get started here in about a minute. We'll give someone a couple more people some time to join, but we're gonna get started here very quickly because I've got some good stuff I want to cover with you guys here today. As far as how to create and maintain healthy habits in less than 30 minutes a day. And the biggie here is even with a busy schedule, because I mean, let's face it. Whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's whoever it may be. Well, we've got busy schedules. We got stuff. We got responsibilities. We got work. We got kids. We got dogs. We got tons of responsibilities. So it's like, well, how the heck do we make time for exercise and ourselves and put our health and wellness and at the top of our list when there's so much going on. So that's exactly what we're gonna cover here today. So guys, we're gonna roll here. And again, if you can hear me, if you can't hear me, I should say, let me know. But otherwise, we're definitely gonna jump right in. So. Let me just make sure we have the recorded button going. And yes, let's go. All right, guys. So again, first, thanks so much for being here. I don't foresee this webinar going any longer than about, I would say, 60 minutes at the max. So 60 minutes is the max we'll take with this webinar. And again, I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, please save them, write them down, because we'll definitely have a Q&A session at the very end. So again, if anything comes to mind, write it down, because I don't want you to forget what the question is, and I want to make sure I address every question I can while I have you guys on this webinar. And even if you forget the question and you think of something later, you can always email me, mike@mikegoncalves.com, and I promise I'll get back to you ASAP with any questions you might have. So without further ado, guys, let's dive in. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who I am and my work, but let's just keep it really simple. My name is Mike Goncalves, and I am the creator and founder of Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, which, by the way, the Academy actually launched today for the second time this year, which I'll talk to you more about at the end. But I'm the creator and founder of Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. It's a 30-day online experience for entrepreneurs who are committed to creating healthy habits when it comes to mindset, healthy physical habits, mental habits, just to overall feel and be at their absolute best in all that they do, just to create these sustainable health habits that they can maintain regardless of what the day throws at them. And for the most part, that's exactly what we're going to cover here today. The information that we cover, that we go over in Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, I'm going to literally take you guys through that here today in this webinar, because when it's used, it's powerful stuff, and it definitely creates sustainable habits. And I'm not talking about 30 days or 60 days, or I love PX90. I love PX90, but it's 90 days. We don't want something, guys, that's going to last 90 days and then what, right? So a lot of the concerns I've had in the past, and even folks that have come through Entrepreneur Fitness Academy and been like, hey man, I need something that's I can stick to, and it's gonna be a lifestyle, not this quick 4-day hack, 5-day hack, 5-week hack, and then I'm on again, off again with my program. So what's something that I can stick to, man? What's something that I can sustain and make this a lifestyle? We hear that all the time, right? Lifestyle. Well, how do we make it a lifestyle? That's what we're gonna talk about here today. And again, you can follow me, guys, if you don't already. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I'm through all the social channels, even YouTube. So just know you can find me there. But and again, just to dive in a little bit more, if you're not familiar with my work, I'm from back east, Boston. So if you notice a little accent, that's probably where it's coming from. I'm originally from south of Boston, New Bedford, Massachusetts, the Whaling City. I come from a Portuguese family, 3 sisters, no brothers. When we were growing up, even the dogs and cats were girls. So it was just my dad and myself and all the ladies in the house. But that's where I grew up. And the biggie was growing up was it's my story, and it's kind of what led me where I am today. And I'll just share a little bit of it with you, and then we'll roll here. But grew up not the smartest kid in school. Told some stories that weren't the best, not good enough, smart enough, wasn't going to go anywhere with my life. It's pretty sad, but that's the stories I was fed. And I'll tie back into that here in a second. But those stories ended up creating this blueprint that would hold me back for years. And I'm talking about into my mid-20s, that from a fitness perspective, from a health perspective, from business, finance, relationships, how these beliefs really messed me up. And that was from a young age. So, my idea and desire to be an entrepreneur went down the tubes because these beliefs really held me back. Even from exercise. I mean, I was a twig. I was a tiny kid. And my mom actually thought something was wrong with me when I was young because I was so tiny, just because I wasn't eating right and I wasn't exercising. I just wasn't in a good spot. And again, it all came from these beliefs that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, that I was fed as a kid. But luckily, I found that even though I wasn't fed great stories, I always thrived in a schoolyard with exercise. Every time I ran, I felt better. Every time I was playing football, I felt better. So I quickly realized that, you know what, there's something special about health. There's something special about exercise that although I don't feel great mentally in the classroom, that even if I'm running around physically, it always makes me feel good regardless of what's going on in my life. So that's when I really started, understanding how important and the power behind exercise and having these fitness habits that really you can leverage to just feel and be at your absolute best. And I mean, I'm talking not just to lose weight and be fit and be able to run a marathon, but really just to up your confidence in your relationships, in your business, in your career. And it's all stems from these habits. And they're not the big habits, and that's the cool thing. That's what I'm excited to share with you guys here about today, where it's not these big habits. We're not going to ask you to go out and run 2 miles every day or, pump up these crazy weights and, that you have to do 5 times a week. If you can, great, but that's not what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on these small, sustainable health habits that you can follow, you can create for yourself based on your availability, based on your schedule. And at the end of the day, guys, based on what you are committed to doing. And, not what you want to do, but what are you committed to doing? Even if you had 6 days a week, but you're only willing to do 4, we're going to work with what you can work with. And that's the special part about what we'll cover here today, and actually what we cover in Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. It's not, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, because that never works. And that's the problem we see with all these plans and programs out there today, where, they're asking you to do something that you either don't want to do, can't do, you can't fit into your schedule, it's asking too much. So that just never works. And we see it more and more. We could get into statistics here and say, hey, I'll just tell you a brief one. The success rate for all weight loss attempt is less than 2%. I mean, that's incredible considering the amount of information that's out there today, but that is the truth, just because the plans and programs aren't designed for you and I, for what you and I are willing and able to do. So that is what we will cover here today in this webinar, which I'm super excited to share with you guys. I feel just two quickly, and then we're going to roll here, 2 major responsibilities. I want to make sure you get your time's worth, because time is more valuable than anything else, and you've spent the time here with me today. I want to make sure it's worth your time, and I definitely want to make sure you leave here today with ideas and inspiration. Ideas and inspiration to be better, to feel better, to exercise regularly. Ideas, inspiration to maintain these healthy habits. And it's not that you come here today without your own ideas. I guarantee you already have great ideas. And I always equate it to like a 4 or 5 combination lock. You probably already came with some great ideas, and you just need 1 or 2 more good ideas, and you match up that lock, and boom, that lock comes open, and there you go. You're off and running with your success and your results. So just think about that. You perhaps just need 1 or 2 more good ideas, and you're off and running, and you're off to be successful to create these healthy habits. So let's just dive right in, guys. And I'm going to ask real quickly, if you don't have it already, it's just to grab something to write with and maybe a piece of paper. And the reason I'm going to ask this is because, look, let's be honest here. If we don't do anything with this information that we're about to cover here, we can't expect things to change or get better. And I always equate this to myself. I love reading, and I used to read a ton, and I still do. But I would just read the book and never actually apply what I was reading. And then I was wondering why things, the concepts I learned in the books, they weren't working for me. Well, I never actually stopped to apply them. So don't do what I did for a while. I don't do that anymore. But if this is going to work, we have to, implement this stuff. So guys, if you don't have it already, take a second now to grab a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, something to write with, and get ready just to take some notes here, because you literally will leave today's webinar with a nice blueprint that you can follow, that you can use and leverage to create the healthy habits that are sustainable, that are in line with what you want from a goal perspective, and that you can commit to based on your schedule. And that's the biggie. It's based on your schedule. I'm not going to dictate what you have to do. I'm just going to give you guidance, and then you decide based on that guidance what you are willing to do and can do. So again, if you don't have something to write with, please grab that now. First question out of the gate is just asking yourself, it's like, hey, why do I want to create healthy habits, first of all, right? I mean, why would anyone want to create healthy habits? That's the biggest question, because it's like, well, yeah, I just kind of want to feel better, or, I know I should, or ask yourself, what's that reason you want to create the healthy habits? Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most, is understanding why you want to create these healthy habits. And we'll dive into that more here in a second, but start giving some thought to why. Is it because, hey, I want to lose weight, I want to feel better about myself, I want to have more confidence, I want to be able to hang with my kids more, I want to be able to be confident in the meetings I go into, I want to have more, more clarity, around my business. What is that for you? I want to be able to feel better in my clothing, I want to be able to feel better around, my significant other. Whatever that is for you, what is that for you? Start giving that some thought, why you want these healthy habits, because that's a biggie. And we'll talk about it here in a second as we get going, but I just want to plant that seed, start giving that some thought, and if you already know why, perhaps even write that down. The next question I want to pose to you is, look, if you know why, what has stopped you in the past? So perhaps it's like, hey, I just want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to have more energy, or I want to fit my clothing, I want to be more confident when I step into a networking event, or, with my colleagues, or, whenever I go, I'm on a Skype call, whatever it may be. What has stopped you in the past from achieving the healthy habits that you want for yourself? So give that some thought. Has it been, hey, lack of time, crazy schedule, I just don't know what to do, I don't have the motivation, I don't have the accountability I need? What has stopped you? Just give that some thought now. And again, I'm just planting the seed, because these two questions are the biggies as we get going. So just get that in your thoughts right now. And real quickly, before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is just say hi to you guys, because I should have done this earlier, but I'm going to do it now. Hey guys, Mike here. So I'm going to keep the cam off, but I'm just going to come on just to say hi, and I really appreciate you guys being here. And again, if there's any questions that you have, I want to remind you that just to write them down as we go, because I want to make sure I answer all your questions at the end. And I definitely want to share with you, again, more about Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the cam off, but I just wanted to say hi, peek in real quickly, and say hi to you guys. So let's go ahead and dive back into the presentation here, the webinar. So, all right, guys. So if you've given that some thought, what stopped you, and why do you want to create these healthy habits? Let's go ahead and dive into this diagram right here, which I know a lot of us laugh at, and it is funny, but it's not funny, just because success, right? Sometimes we think, and the way we're going to apply this, guys, is to a fitness plan, or creating healthy habits. Whether it's a book or a plan or a program, or a course, whatever it may be. Sometimes we think, hey, or even getting a gym membership. Oh, well, if I get this, it equals X. Or I'm going to go exercise regularly, I'm going to have what I want, I'm going to feel the way I want. We always think it's this straight linear line, which isn't the case, right? If you look to the right, that's what it really looks like, that crazy squiggly line. And the question is, well, how do we navigate that crazy squiggly line? Because it takes navigating that crazy line to get to the end. And that's usually what holds us back. And we can almost say that crazy squiggly line is our busy schedules. That's what kind of stops us from going the distance, to losing the weight, to staying regular with these exercises, and regular with our health habits, and eating healthy, and doing the things we know we should be doing to feel and be at our absolute best. But I mean, for the love of Pete, look at this line. How do we even navigate that? And that's where the problem comes in, because whenever there's programs out there, whatever programs, and there's a ton of good ones. I promise you, I would say probably 80 to 90% of the programs out there of health, creating health habits and being healthy and fit, they're good programs, but they just provide you a plan. They don't provide you what's necessary to navigate this crazy squiggly line. And that's the problem, because in order for you to get from where you are today to where you want to be with these healthy habits that you can sustain daily, we're never going to get there. And in this crazy squiggly line, that's what holds us back. And it's sad, but that's why we never are able to go the distance. So we are going to put an end to that. We're going to put an end to that, give you not just a great plan, but also provide you with what's necessary to go the distance here. And my guess is, if you're on this webinar, this isn't the first time you've been looking at, a plan or a strategy to get you from where you are to where you want to be. My guess is that you've tried multiple, multiple strategies before, multiple plans, multiple whatever it may be, gyms or wellness programs or weight loss programs, whatever it may be. to create the habits, and you just haven't been able to get there. Now, it's not that you haven't worked hard or you don't want it hard enough. Yeah, maybe, let's just say, okay, maybe you could have worked harder, fine. But it's not, it's more often than not, it's not the plan. It's not the plan. It's not that you didn't work hard enough. It's that you weren't provided with the tools, the resources necessary to go the distance. And I'm going to say that again. The plan is one thing, but having the resources necessary to go the distance, that is what's necessary, and that is oftentimes 99% of the time what is missing in these plans today. That's the reason why we don't see success with weight loss, with getting fit, with leaning up, with creating these habits that are sustainable. And that's what we're going to cover here today. I promise you, we're going to create sustainable health habits, guys, giving you everything you need to get from where you are to where you want to be daily, creating these sustainable habits. So let's roll. How do we do that? Again, success is right here. If we have to just summarize it, success is 20% of the plan. So if you went online right now and you jumped on and you say, hey, I want to create sustainable health habits or fitness plan or health plan or weight loss plan, 20% of our results, guys, are going to come from the actual plan. I mean, think about the statistics there for a second. 20% comes from the plan. 80% is from the mindset. And this is where I tie back into, earlier with myself, my mindset was not a good one from an early age because of some, negative experiences I've had. Perhaps you've had negative experiences, whether it's with, a spouse saying you weren't good enough or, you couldn't do it, or support from friends and loved ones, mindset that maybe you failed before, and the mindset is like, well, I'm going to fail again, or who am I to think I can do it? I can sustain this, this body, and no, I can't get back to that body I used to have back when, whatever, I was 20, or, I'm just big boned, or whatever it may be, or, something always derails me. 80% to go the distance, guys, is mindset. Remember that crazy squiggly line I showed you? The only way we navigate that line to get to the end, to those sustainable habits we want to create for ourselves, is creating the right mindset. And that's what we're going to cover here today. 20% is a plan. And I'm not saying the plan isn't important, but it's only 20%. It only equates to 20% of our results. 80% is getting the mindset right. And guys, if we miss this, we miss everything. This is why, again, less than 2% of all plans of people that set out to lose weight fail, are successful. Less than 2%, because the focus is always on the plan and never on the mindset. And that is why even in Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, the first 2 weeks, we literally focus primarily on mindset, because if we don't establish that, I almost equate that as our foundation. We all like decorating a house and bringing in the furniture and doing all the molding and painting, right? That's always the fun part. But without a solid foundation, there's no way that house is going to hold up. If we build it on stilts, you give it some wind, hurricane, it's going down. So a strong foundation is what we need. In this case, it's mindset to go the distance and really work that plan and give us the results, give us those healthy habits we want to sustain. Creating sustainable healthy habits requires these two things, guys. It requires motivation and accountability. Two things, as I mentioned earlier, that the plans that you see today do not offer. They do not offer. They provide you like, hey, here you go. Here's these recipes, and here's these exercises, and here's what you do from day 1 to day 90. But these two pieces are missing. And I've done this long enough where I've done it for like 17, almost 18 years now, almost 2 decades I've been doing this work. Working with entrepreneurs and clients all over the world for almost 2 decades now. And what I have found during this time is these are the X factors. These two is what is required. When I look at those who have been successful in losing 50 pounds, creating sustainable health habits that have lasted them 5, 6, 7 years, habits that, it doesn't matter. I had a client who was over in, I think it was Zimbabwe or Kenya, somewhere in Kenya, completely different social economics over there, completely different lifestyle, not many resources, but he just dialed in what he needed to do. We provided him with motivation and accountability. He lost 35 pounds. Incredible. I have another client who's big time, high level CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and a lot on her plate. And you know what, over the last 2 years, providing motivation and accountability, she's been able to lose substantial amount of weight. She's now launching her own business, and she's been able to take her health and wellness goals to the next level, not because she didn't try in the past. She invested in gyms and trainers and whatnot and all these different plans, just wasn't successful. Well, why was that? Because she was lacking the motivation and accountability. two things that we really provide big time in Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, and also that we're going to cover here in the next couple of steps as far as creating healthy habits. So just keep that in mind, guys. Plan is one thing. Staying motivated, having the accountability necessary to go the distance these are the two requirements if we're going to be successful creating these healthy habits. So let's dive in really briefly here. The 4 parts that we need to create these healthy habits that last is 1, creating a champion's mindset, 2, successful goal setting, 3, strategy selection, and 4, staying motivated. And we're going to cover these really brief because again, guys, I want to just give you something. I don't want to make this complex because you probably heard it said. If not, I'm going to tell you now. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Like the more complex we make things, the higher the chances are that we don't follow through and get the work done. So I'm going to try to keep this as basic and to the point as possible. So again, if you have your pencil, pen ready, your paper, let's roll. Let's get these guys in place for you. So number 1 is creating a champion's mindset. Well, how do we do that? How do we get fired up? The quickest way to change our, psychology when it's like, oh man, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to work out. I don't want to have that, salad instead of the pizza. The quickest way to change your psychology, how and what you're thinking, is to change your physiology, which is like through movement. And let me tell you what works for me. Whenever I'm sometimes laying on a sofa, kind of like, reading a book, and I know I'm supposed to go running that afternoon, and I don't want to. I'm like, man, I don't want to get it done right now. I'm tired. I've had a long day. Well, if that's my thinking, I'm just sitting there, I'm not going to get it done. But the way I get myself fired up is I get up off the sofa, I put on a song that kind of fires me up, I put on my running shoes, and I just start kind of like doing some jumping jacks. I start moving. And that, if I do that for a couple of minutes, it gets me in a mood. I get fired up. So I'm going to ask, what is it? What gets you fired up? Is it listening to Is it listening to a song? Listen to music. Is it jumping up and down? Is it looking at an old picture of yourself? Is it looking at a motivational quote? Is it looking at a 5-minute video? What gets you fired up? And I'm going to ask that you on your paper, you write down number 1, and write down just one thing. What's one thing that if you did for a couple of minutes would fire you up? That would take you from like, man, I just don't want to do this, to, man, I'm feeling good. Let's go. Let's roll. Let's do this. Give that thought and write that down, because that is number 1. The reason why that's number 1 is because, again, the quickest way to change your psychology when you're thinking, I just don't want to do this, is to change your physiology through movement, through visual, through looking at something that's firing you up. We can change our physiology in many ways. The quickest way is actually through movement. But again, a video could do it, a picture could do it, a conversation could do it, whatever it may be. What is that for you? Write that down. That's number 1. Number 2 is identifying limiting beliefs. This is a biggie, guys, and we're not going to dive too much into this because, again, we're going to keep this as brief and as to the point and practical as possible. So what's a belief that you have that perhaps has stopped you from, creating and sustaining these healthy habits? Is it like, hey, man, every time I try, I fail, or I don't have enough time in a day, or I'm just big boned, or I can't lose weight, or you know what, my schedule is too busy? What is one limiting belief that that over and over always comes to your mind? For example, I have a client, her big belief was like, I'm just big boned. That's just how I am. I'm just big boned. It's funny, she went from being big boned, we changed her belief to her losing 30 pounds, and all of a sudden she isn't big boned anymore. But that story, that limiting belief that she was big boned, that was her guiding force. That's her blueprint. That's what she lived by. So of course she was never going to lose weight, because in her mind, her blueprint was she was big boned. Let's take myself for an example. For the longest time, I couldn't gain weight. I was this scrawny kid. I couldn't work out regularly. I wasn't a morning person, because these are all the things I told myself. You're just a skinny kid. You're not a morning person. You can't get in shape. I was skinny, but I was skinny like as an unhealthy skinny. So it wasn't until I changed these beliefs that it's like, no, you're not a skinny kid. You just have to work out regularly. Look, work out hard. Work out regularly. You won't be a skinny kid. So I took it from I'm a skinny kid to I work out regularly and I work out aggressively. And when I say aggressively, meaning like consistently, really getting out there, lifting weights, playing basketball. So what is that limiting belief that you have that's been holding you back? Whether you know it or not, it has been, because that's our blueprint. Whatever you tell yourself, we're going to live that blueprint. So identify that one limiting belief And then once you do that, replace it with an empowering one, an empowering belief. And again, I'm going to tell you mine was, hey, I'm not good enough, smart enough, to it's like, no, I'm a hard worker and I get the job done. I'm a hard worker and I exercise regularly. Those, I changed my belief. And another one I'll even share with you, I never used to get up early in the morning to go work out because my limiting belief was I'm not a morning person. Maybe you have that same belief. I'm not a morning person. Well, guess what? Once I changed that belief to I'm not a morning person to I do what it takes to feel and be my best, that was the difference. I went from I'm not a morning person, scratch that out, and my new empowering belief was I do whatever it takes to feel and be my best. And if that meant getting up at 4:30 in the morning, which I still do till this day, and this started way back when I was 21, not to date myself, but that was 20 years ago, I have maintained being a morning person because my new belief, my empowering belief, my new blueprint is I do whatever it takes to feel and be at my absolute best. So I hope that's resonating, guys, and I hope you see the power in that because our beliefs is what guides us. That's our blueprint. So if we have limiting beliefs, we're going to keep abiding by those. Let's identify at least one. What's your biggest limiting belief? Identify that, and then replace it with an empowering belief. And then lastly, guys, it's just gratitude. Now, there's two ways I'm going to suggest doing this. You can either write it down like I do every morning. I write down just 3 things I'm grateful for every morning, and I'll tell you why here in a second. And sometimes it's like, well, man, how can I always think of 3 things every morning? I just keep it simple where I give thanks for a person, a place, and a thing. Really simple, right? A person you're grateful for, a place you're grateful for, and a thing you're grateful for. And the reason being is because we can't, if we start a day being gracious with gratitude, we can't be angry and grateful at the same time. We can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. So if we start our day with a gratitude mindset, man, we're going to crush the day. We're going to get up, we're going to feel fired up, and we're going to be ready to go. We're not going to lead the day, in fear or in anger. We're going to lead it with gratitude, and we're going to get the job done, especially when we get ourselves fired up and we have these new empowering beliefs. Let's add gratitude to that. Now, I write mine down every morning. I suggest doing that because it's more powerful, but if you can't or if you don't want to, at least in your mind while you're getting ready for, brushing your teeth or having your coffee, in your mind, either think them or say them out loud, 3 things you're grateful for. If you get into that habit, you'll be surprised the difference it makes in your lives. So again, these are the 3 pieces to, number 1, creating a champion's mindset. So write these 3 down, guys, and perhaps even take time right now to write 3 things you're grateful for today, just to start getting into that habit. And again, if we did the math on this, guys, how long, once you get going, how long does it take you to do these 3? Get fired up. I do about 2 minutes of jumping jacks. I'm ready to go. I look at my empowering beliefs, every day in the morning. That takes what, another minute? I do gratitude, 3 things I'm grateful for. That's another minute. We're talking 4 minutes here, guys. 4 minutes to get you into a champion's mindset. Mind you, you can do this anytime during the day. I highly suggest doing it first thing in the morning just to get the day started right. So these are your first 3. Getting fired up. What is that for you? Identify your limiting belief. You have number 1 and replace it with an empowering belief. And then review that daily. And then also give gratitude every day to 3 things: a person, a place, or a thing. Either write it down or think it or say it out loud. This is how to create a champion's mindset. Guys, how we doing? I'm hoping we're doing good here. We're going to try and roll. What time is it? Let's do a quick time check because I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. It's already 6, so we're going to roll fast through these, guys. So next up is successful goal setting. And we're going to keep this really simple and clear, guys. Whatever your goal is when it comes to creating healthy habits, is knowing clearly, specifically what your goal is, what you're out to accomplish. The reason why this is so important is because if we don't know what we're after, we're not going to get there. I always equate this to like a GPS in a car, right? If we jumped in our car today or right now and we just said, hey, GPS, just take me, ask where you're going. Like, well, I don't know, I want to go somewhere. Well, if the GPS doesn't have a coordinates, it doesn't know where to take you. It wouldn't know how to navigate you, where to tell you to go. So, and again, we have to be clear and specific. And clear is like, we could say, okay, well, hey, I want to head, right now I'm in San Diego. I want to head east. Okay, well, east could be Boston. East could be Florida. Those are 2 completely different places, especially in December. So we can be clear, yes, and say I want to go east, But then let's be specific. If we say, hey, I want to go east, but I want to go specifically to Boston, now that GPS can directly tell you exactly how to get there. That's how our minds work, guys. So if we say, hey, I want to feel better when it comes to, you know, healthy habits, well, what does that mean? That's not really clear. That's not really specific. If we say, hey, I want to lose weight, okay, well, now you're getting a little more clear. Now we know exactly what that means to feel better. You want to lose weight, but you could lose a pound and you're done with it. So that's why it's important to be specific and say, hey, I want to lose weight, but not just lose weight, I want to lose 30 pounds. So whatever your goal is, guys, write that down, clear and specific. You know, I want to be stronger. I want to be able to do 10 pull-ups. That's clear, that's specific. I want to run regularly. I want to run a marathon in the next 3 months. That's clear, that's specific. So what is that for you? What's your clear and specific goal? And then the more important of the two, actually I shouldn't say that, they're both important, but is why you want that goal. You know, we talked about this earlier. Why do you want to create healthy habits? Why do you want this goal? Because without the why, we're not going to go the distance. And some of the most powerful whys I've heard from clients, it's like, hey, you know, I want to be a role model to my kids. I want to feel my best as I age. I don't want to, you know, have the same outcome my parents had when they got older. Or I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and feel proud of what I see. You know, these are deep-rooted whys. These are the whys that get us going, get us out of bed when we don't want to get out of bed, get us running regularly when we don't want to be running, sticking to these habits when perhaps we don't want to stick to them. So what is that why for you? Give that some thought and write it down. So after you've identified your clear and specific goal, write down at least one why. What's that deep-rooted why for you? Mine is, and I'll share mine with you guys, is because I get up every morning to go work out at 4:30 in the morning when I don't want to, because that's very early, but I get up because I know I need to be at my best, because I know somewhere in the world there's someone who's not feeling their best, who's been told these stories of they're not good enough and smart enough, and they're really in that world, and it's my job. It's, you know, unless I'm not okay with that. So I need to get up, I need to be at my best, and the only way I can do that is to go work out, go take care of myself, exercise first thing in the morning, so I can create and serve those I'm out to create and serve for. So that is my why. That's what gets me going. That's what gets me up in the morning, because I want to be at my best to be able to serve those people who, by the way, I was once in their shoes, and I can't stand to see them there. And as long as I can't stand to see them there, I'm going to get up out of that bed. So identify that why. What's that why that's going to get you up, get you going? Those are the two pieces when it comes to successful goal setting. Because again, if it's not clear, if it's not specific, we don't know what we're going for, guys. And if we don't know why we're doing it, we're probably not going to do it. And again, identify the deep-rooted whys. You might have heard this from the book, A Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, amazing book. I highly recommend it. But in it, he states, with a strong enough why, a man can endure almost anyhow. With a strong enough why, man can endure almost any how. You know, strong enough why, you can do almost anyhow. So just think of your why, be clear, be specific. That is number two, guys. Goal setting when it comes to creating these sustainable health habits is knowing what they are. All right. Let's take a quick 30-second break. I'm going to get a little water. Guys, take a quick second break, and then we're going to resume here very shortly. 30 seconds. All right, guys, let's roll here. Here we go. So number two, we talked about successful goal setting. Now, and again, I'm going to suggest that you write these down, guys. So right now we should have 5, right? 3 from the first, 3 from the first section, 2 from the second, and now here we are in the third section, strategy selection. And again, we're going to keep this simple, guys. What I'd like you to do, these are the 5, and I call these the 5 to thrive. So 5 to thrive. When it comes to creating healthy habits, if we focus on these 5, this is everything. And again, I'm going to give you one thing to focus on with each one of these. And I know it can be complex. I promise you it's not. What I'm going to ask is, what is 5 minutes? What kind of exercise could you do for 5 minutes every day? I mean, could you take a walk around the block for 5 minutes every day? Could you do jumping jacks? Could you do a combination of jumping jacks and burpees? Could you jump rope? Could you run around the block? Could you swim? Do you have a swimming pool? Do you have a bike? You could ride your bike in a house, whether it's a stationary bike. What is 5 minutes of exercise you could commit to every day? And the reason why I say every day is because it's all about building the habits, guys. So we don't need to do half an hour. We don't need to do an hour. Build a habit of literally 5 minutes every day. And you start building that habit, one, you start feeling so much better. You start feeling accomplished, confident. Your body starts to shift and change. Yes, with just 5 minutes, I promise you. And you start building this confidence, and that 5 minutes leads to 6 minutes, then 7. Then before you know it, you're like up to 10. And you know what? You don't even have to do more than 10 sometimes. But it's funny how just the 5-minute habit starts to trickle into a little bit more, and then that trickles into everything else you do. But let's start simple and answer that. What is 5 minutes of exercise you could commit to every day? And write that down. Write that down. And if it's literally, seriously, if it's walking around the block 1 time or 2 times, so be it. But commit to the habit every day. That's how we formulate a habit, guys, is doing it every day. So exercise, 5 minutes. What can you commit to? And if you already have an exercise routine going on that, hey, I exercise 3 times a week, wonderful. Keep that. And on the other days, do that 5-minute exercise routine that you've identified that you can do, that you can commit to. So what is that for you? Next up, I'm going to ask that you pick anywhere from 1 to 2, let's go anywhere from 1 to 3 stretches. What's your favorite stretches, whether it's your hamstrings or a low back? Maybe your low back's tight because you're like me, you sit a bunch to create things. What's 1 to 3 stretches you could do daily? Right after you do your 5 minutes of exercise, what's about a minute or 2 of stretching that you could do? Mine is I always stretch my hamstrings because I have tight hamstrings, so I literally stand and just reach for my toes, and I hold that for a good 30 seconds. And then I also do like a low back stretch that I lay on my back and I take one knee over, and then I do the other side. So I literally do, I mean, I do a bunch of stretches, but those are my top 2, my hamstrings and my low back. What is 2 stretches perhaps that you could commit to doing every day right after you do your 5 minutes of exercise? And again, remember, it's all about building that habit. And stretching is one of the top keys that we typically tend to forget about, which is so important to keep our bodies loose and limber and feeling our best. So identify that. Write down 2 stretches that you can commit to doing. And literally, guys, if it's 2 stretches and each stretch takes about 30 seconds, we're talking about a minute of stretching. Okay, maybe 2. But still, that's only a minute or 2 of stretching. Now notice what we're doing. We're keeping this very simple. Because again, it's not the amount that counts. It's not the amount that counts. It's the habit. I'm going to repeat that. It's not the amount that counts. It's the habit. So let's get you in habit. And once you get in habit, you'll be surprised how that 1 minute of stretching, before you know it, it's feeling good. And now you're doing 5, 6 minutes of stretching. And so goes a cycle. Okay, so identify what's 1 to 2 stretches you can do right after exercise. Next up, nutrition. Now here's a scoop. There's so many ways we can go with this, but let's keep it really basic. What is one thing you know right now you eat or drink a lot of that's not good for you? A lot of people, it's soda. A lot of people, it's sweets. That you just know, man, if I can this, I would be in so much better health. What is one thing you can commit to, like just getting out of your, I guess, your normal routine of how and what you eat or drink, and then in canning it, just get rid of it for, I would say, 6 days. If you want to have it on one of those days for a cheat day, sure. But what's one thing you can get rid of for 6 days out of the 7 days immediately that would make a difference to your overall health and wellness? Write that down and start getting rid of that for 6 out of the 7 days of the week. And now what's one thing that if you added into your, I hate the word diet, but we're going to use it for the sake of this discussion. What's one thing you could add into how and what you eat that if you started having more of it, it would dramatically increase, you know, your health and well-being and how you feel? For a lot of people, it's like, hey, if I only had 1 salad a day, it'd be awesome. Or, hey, man, if I just had like a protein shake in the morning to start my day off with a, you know, a nice shake and a nice protein. What's one thing that you would take out that will exponentially help your health and wellness from a bad food or drink perspective? Can that. And what's one thing you can add that's healthy, nourishing, and will help you be healthier from a nutritional standpoint? Write that down. You're literally replacing one for the other, and that is it, guys. That's all we're going to do from a nutritional standpoint. Next up is hydration. Now, I always struggle with drinking water, and to keep things simple, always shoot for 64 ounces. I'm sure you guys have heard that. if you right now don't drink much water, I always say, listen, go for 32 ounces, shoot for 32 ounces, drink an 8-ounce glass in the morning, 8-ounce glass midday, 8-ounce glass afternoon, 8-ounce glass in the evening. And that's typically what I always shoot for myself. And just like these other ones we're talking about, the more you build that habit, you'll notice you start getting thirstier and you actually find yourself drinking more. So that's, again, the amount isn't as important as the habit. You're going to start to notice a theme here, guys. The amount isn't as important as the habit. So even if hydration, you know, the goal is to drink 64 ounces or more, just by getting you in the habit of drinking those 32, you know, an 8-ounce glass regularly through the day, that's going to build a habit, and before you know it, you're going to be drinking more and more and more. Build the habit. Sustainable habit starts by being regular with it, guys. So again, if right now, if you're drinking the water, wonderful. If you're like, man, I barely drink it, stop by 8-ounce glass in the morning, 8-ounce glass late afternoon or mid-morning or late morning, 8-ounce glass early afternoon, 8-ounce glass in the evening. So 32 ounces, shoot for that. But again, the overall goal is 64. And lastly, guys, I would just look at your sleep. You know, sleep is very important. Now, too much sleep is not necessary either, because then all of a sudden we're sluggish and we don't need to do that much. We don't need to be sleeping that much, especially if we're not getting the work we want to be getting done. So everyone's different. Literally no less than 6, typically no more than 8. I mean, if some people say I need, quote unquote, need my 9 hours, as long as you're getting the work done that you must be getting done with exercise, with stretching, with nutrition, with looking at your goals, with getting a champion's mindset. As long as you're doing the things to get you in a position to be successful, then sure, get your sleep. But if the sleep is cutting into the time you could be utilizing to get your 5 minutes of exercise in, your 2 minutes of stretching, planning for that nutritional 1 meal per day, if it gets in the way of that, then yeah, you might want to look and rethink your sleep strategy. But anywhere between 6 and 8 hours is where you want to land. So just commit to that every day. This is the 5 to Thrive strategy, guys. If you focus on these 5, we will be successful beyond measure. Exercise, 5 minutes per day that you can commit to. 2 stretches. Take one bad thing out of what you eat right now and replace it with one good thing that you can eat. Hydration, shoot for 32 ounces. If you're already there, of course, shoot for 64. But again, create the habit. And sleep anywhere between 6 to 8 hours per night. 6 to 8 hours per night. This is number 3, guys, strategy selection. And we're almost done here. We're going to now move into staying motivated. This is the big, guys. And we talked about this earlier. 2 of the biggest missing pieces to any of this, to any plan, is staying motivated, remaining accountable. So the number 1 thing that we can talk about here is this. And it's really a statement, guys. And it's that motivation is a choice. It's not a feeling. Motivation is a choice, because we often think, man, if I was just more motivated, I would go work out regularly. If I was just more motivated, I would get up. And the truth is, it's actually the other way around. If you got up and got going, you would be more motivated, not the other way around. So just if we can understand that motivation is not a feeling, it's a choice. And I always use myself as an example. If motivation was a feeling, I promise you I would not get up in the morning at 4:30 when the alarm goes off. There is no feeling in me that wants to get up. But I get up because, again, it's a choice. I know my why. I know why I'm getting up, and I make that choice to get up even though I'm half asleep and I'd rather stay in bed. It's a choice to get up. So remember, guys, motivation is a choice. And again, it's not easy to stay motivated. And we'll talk about some ways that you can stay motivated here in a second. I'm going to skip over incantation real quickly because I definitely want you guys to create one for yourself. But again, accountability, perhaps get an accountability buddy, a personal trainer, a mastermind group, something that's going to hold you accountable to getting your exercise in, to eating healthy, to getting your water in, to sleeping enough. This is a biggie, accountability. And one of the best things I have found in working with my clients is, I used to check in with them once a week. And that just wasn't getting the results that I wanted for them and they wanted. And the craziest thing happened about 3 years ago when I changed how I work with clients, where I started holding them accountable every day. It was a daily accountability check-in. And I can't tell you, the results went through the roof when we started doing daily accountability check-ins, just because, again, it's not once a week. Now it's every day. We're, keeping them accountable. And the reason why this is so important is, and this is with any success, we're all going to fail. We all fail and fall off track even I do it, we all do it. And it's not about falling, it's about getting back on track as quickly as possible. And that is why daily accountability is so important, because if you fall today, if you and I just had a conversation and the next day, like, oh man, I'm off track, and then you're off track until I talk to you again, well, man, a whole week just went by until we got you back on track. But daily accountability is like, hey man, if you fell today, we're talking tomorrow, and if you're off track, we talk and we strategize and we get you right back on track. So it's not how many times you fall, it's getting back up quickly. And again, at the end of it all, it's having the support, whether it's through family, whether it's through friends, having the support, the encouragement, the motivation. These are biggies when it comes to staying motivated. The incantation there, now that's a self-motivating technique that I use. I use it first thing in the morning. Just create almost like a motto, a statement for yourself. For example, I had a client, her statement was like, I can and I will. I can and I will. That was hers. Whenever she wasn't feeling it, she would just stop herself. I forgot what she did. I think she used to do she would pace the room. That's what it was. She would pace her living room and just say to herself, I can and I will. I can and I will. And that was her incantation. So I'm going to ask that you come up with a personal incantation for yourself. What is that for you? What is that for you? Come up with that. Make it short. Make it something that's powerful that you can remember, that's going to fire you up. And then whenever you're not feeling it, just read that, get up and read that incantation to yourself. Like, for example, I'll share one with you. Mine, I actually have a couple. Mine's kind of long, but mine is, now I am the voice. I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I'm a force for good. I'm a force for God. I am a leader. Defy the odds. Set a new standard. Step up. And that is what I say to myself whenever I'm just not feeling it. I'll just repeat that a couple of times, and man, if I do that, I get myself pretty fired up, and whatever I wasn't feeling like doing, I get myself to do it. So just create that powerful incantation for yourself. Make it a simple one. Make it one that really riles you up, that if you read it a couple of times, it really gets you going. Something as simple as I can and I will. That did it for her. What's that going to be for you? So these are some of the ways, and again, motivation, just understand it's not a feeling, it's a choice that you make. Accountability, find an accountability group, whether it's a friend that you can go work out with, whether it's a group, a running group perhaps, because make sure it's daily. If you can have a daily accountability, that is what's going to make all the difference. And again, at the end of the day, just support from family and friends that are going to keep you going. Quick water break, guys, 2 seconds. Okay. So that is the 4 steps. Now, if you wrote these all down, guys, just a quick recap. If you wrote these all down, these are the habits in less than 30 minutes. Getting fired up. What's a couple of things will get you fired up. Putting on a song for 3 minutes, jumping up and down for 3 minutes. Sometimes I do burpees for about a minute. What's those new beliefs you have? You replace your limiting belief with an empowering belief. What is that? Look at it. Tell yourself that daily. Write down 3 things or think them in your head. 3 things every day you're grateful for. I always, to keep me going, I always think, hey, what's a person, what's a place, and what's a thing I'm grateful for? When it comes to your goals, make sure you write them down and make sure they're specific. Make sure they're clear and specific. And you remember, understand the importance of that. It's like a GPS. If we don't punch in the coordinates, it has no idea where to take us. Our body, our mindset's the same way. If our mind doesn't know exactly what we're after, we're not going to get there. Be clear, be specific with your goals. Next up, know your whys. Your whys is what gets you going the distance. That's what gets you out of bed. Whether it's like, hey man, I need to be a role model for my kids. I need to be, I want to be the best I can be. I want to be confident. I want to fit into the clothing I want to fit into. I don't want to have the same outcome my parents had, or, I want to have the energy to, play with my grandkids, or I want to be, confident with my spouse, with my significant other. What's those whys, those deep-rooted, grounded whys that are going to get you up and out of bed and getting, the work done? That's going to keep you doing, falling back on these habits day after day. Exercise, what's 5 minutes of exercise that you can commit to every day, even if it's walking around the block? Remember that the habit is more important than the amount. The habit is more important than the amount. What's 5 minutes of exercise you can commit to every day? Do that. What's 1 to 3 stretches you can commit to doing every day? Right after those 5 minutes of exercises, do that. For me, it's my hamstrings and my low back. I do about 3 minutes of stretching for those 2. And then obviously I do more, but I at least do those 2. Even if I'm running short on time, I always have time for those 3 minutes. Nutrition, identify one thing, one bad thing you can take out of what you eat right now. At least 6 out of the 7 days, take that one bad thing out and then replace it with a good thing, like a salad or 2 pieces of fruit or more veggies, or start the day with a protein shake. Add that one healthy addition to your daily routine of how and what you eat. Hydration, make sure if you're not getting 64 ounces of water right now and you struggle with water like I do, at least commit to getting an 8-ounce glass in the morning, 8-ounce glass late morning, 8-ounce glass early afternoon, 8-ounce glass in the evening. Shoot for 34 ounces. Again, I'm going to keep coming back to this. The habit of drinking water is more important than the amount. The amount will come. The habit it's what it's all about, creating the habit. Sleep, guys, shoot for 6 to 8 hours per night. Do not give on that 6. Sleep recovery is important. It's a must. 6 to 8 hours. If you get a little bit more than 8 hours, I'm okay with that, as long as it's not, as long as it's not cramping the style of these other habits that we're committed to here. And then lastly, remember that incantation. What's that incantation that you can say to yourself? Is it I can and I will, or hey, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to crush today's goals. What is it? I'm a badass, whatever it may be. What is your incantation that when you're not feeling it, you can repeat to yourself a couple of times that's going to fire you up? Identify that and then use it. Lean on it, all right? These are the 11 health habits that you can literally take advantage of in less than 30 minutes a day. And by doing these every day, it will change your world. You build these habits in. You do this for 7 days, 7 days, you'll notice a difference. You then follow it through for 30 days, you will be on fire. I promise you, you will be on fire. You won't even know what's going on. Like, oh my God, I haven't felt this great in years, if not ever. Just by exercising these habits daily. And they're pretty simple. But again, guys, I do this purposely. Keep it simple. Simplicity is everything. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Remember, the more complex it is, the higher the probability we don't get it done. So keep it simple. And lastly, we'll just say this, guys, is again, I'm going to always come back to this. Motivation is a choice. Motivation is a choice, but it's not easy to stay motivated. It is not easy. And I know that's what a lot of us struggle with. Just staying motivated to keep going. We want to show up. We want to work hard. Of course, we have to have fun. If we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong. And a lot of us will say, Mike, I'm ready to show up, but I want to show up regularly and consistently for myself and for those I love and care for. I'm ready to work hard. And sometimes it's like, well, things get in the way. My schedule gets in my way. It's like I don't know how to manage or balance, what I want to do with what I have to do, my responsibilities. So this can be an issue sometimes. But the key is understanding motivation is a choice and making it happen. And that is why I want to dive in and just give you something to consider. If motivation has been a challenge for you, if accountability is like, man, that's something I need, Mike. I do need the motivation. I do need the accountability. I want to share with you Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, which we just launched today. We launched it back in May. Was the very first time we had the academy. It was a wonderful turnout, and now we're launching it again. It starts Monday, October 2nd. Registration actually opened today, and it is a 30-day online experience, again, created to help you create sustainable, healthy habits that you can maintain. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy life that you can maintain and work within what you're able and willing to do. It's literally, guys, everything we covered here. It's these 11 right here, but in more depth. And the biggie is that we provide you with the motivation, with the accountability every single day to make sure you're getting these all done. And I'm going to dive into it a little bit here. And just to give you a quick look at it, because it might be for you. Just let me quick sip of water. It might be for you guys. Again, if you've suffered from, man, I don't have the motivation, the accountability, and if that's been a constant stressor for you, this might be your solution. And again, let me just cover it real quickly with you. It's for 30 days, guys. Registration is open now, and it starts on October 2nd, which is a Monday. And pretty much this is what we just covered in the webinar, and this is what's included in the 30 days of Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. It's literally, week one, everything we talked about, guys, creating a champion's mindset, identifying, getting your head right is what I call it, getting your head right, getting your head in the game, because without that, that is the #1 piece that every plan out there today is missing. They give you the plan, which is 20%, but they fail to give you the 80% that's necessary to go the distance. Remember that squiggly line? Remember the success line, the straight line, the squiggly line? They don't give you, you're not provided with what's necessary to go the distance through that squiggly line. That is the motivation. That is the accountability. That is what Entrepreneur Fitness Academy provides you with. So we do that right out of the gate. Mission 1, creating a champion's mindset. Mission 2, again, goal setting is one thing. Oh, hey, I want to feel better. Remember what we said, guys. If it's not clear, if it's not specific, there is no way we will go the distance to get to where you want to get to. If we don't punch in those exact coordinates into that GPS, we will not get to the goals you want to create for yourself. So mission 2, successful goal setting, we literally spend time identifying what your #1 health and fitness goal is and exactly, how you want to feel going forward. We get as clear and specific as we can so we know exactly what that bullseye is for you. And we spend all of week 2, I call it mission 2, creating that days through 14. Then we dive into mission 3, which is strategy selection. Remember, guys, it's everything we talked about when it comes to 5 to Thrive, as I call it. Knowing what you want, great, but now what are the steps that will get you there? And we talked about it already. It's exercise, it's stretching, it's nutrition, it's hydration, it's sleep. But again, we in the academy, we get more detailed as far as like, okay, well, what exercises? What exercises? And what if I only have 5 minutes? Well, what if I want to focus more on my abs? Or what if what if I'm more committed to a paleo kind of diet? We provide you with all these resources to pick the exercise routines that are right for you and pick the meal plans that are right for you. We do this in week 3 in the academy. And again, we call it strategy selection, the 5 to Thrive. And then lastly, it's mission 4, which is all about staying motivated. It's about day 22 to 30, staying motivated. All about staying motivated. How do we go the distance? How do we stay motivated? How do we stay consistent, dialed in to make sure we're going the distance to achieve that #1 goal and to establish those healthy habits that are there, that we do them long enough so that they're there to stay. They're implemented, they're ingrained in our mind. So we focus on that in mission 4, staying motivated. We talk about the right language to use. We talk about the right questions to ask. We create incantations for ourselves, and again, in a smart, effective way. And we leverage other ones that have been used in the past from others we've seen that have used it, that have worked, and we provide you with that as well. So this is just a quick snapshot of what the 30 days looks like. And again, it's pretty much what we talked about. Now, you can take what I provide you with here already and run with it on your own. And by all means, do that and you will be successful. But again, if you're missing the motivation in the accountability, which it seems like 95% of people are, because plans don't provide that these days. Even gyms don't provide that. They sell you the membership. Well, then what? Then it's still up to you to get motivated to get in there. Then it's up to you to still stay accountable to yourself, which we're not sometimes the best at doing, to get in there and get the work done. So the motivation and the accountability is such a big piece of the pie, and it's always missing. In Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, it is not missing. It's what we're all about, providing you the motivation and accountability to go the distance to achieve your #1 health goal and sustain and create these sustainable habits that will last. Just a quick snapshot, guys, here of everything that you get in the academy. Quick drink. You're going to get daily video intros and guidance, support and accountability from me every day for the 30 days. You get detailed worksheets that I've tested, again, over almost 2 decades now of working with clients that have been tested, analyzed, and proven to work. I'm going to provide you with over 100 instructional videos that it doesn't matter what fitness level you're currently at. There's a plan in there for you, and it requires no equipment. You can do anywhere, whether you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes, 45, or an hour. They're all in there. You can actually pick. So you can say, hey, man, I have 10 minutes, and I'm about intermediate level. There is a plan in there for you that you can pick. I'm going to provide you with nutritional menus and shopping lists so you know exactly what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat. That's all in there as well. I'm going to provide you with 8 entrepreneur interviews from other entrepreneurs who provide insight on what they do to keep themselves in shape, given their schedule, their busy schedules. How do they do it? How do they keep themselves in shape given their travel and the busy schedule that they have? They're going to share that with us so we can leverage their successes and use it for ourselves. 24/7 accountability through a private member-only Facebook group. That has proven to be instrumental, guys. When we talk about motivation and accountability, that has been the game changer for the students that we had come through in May. Just because, again, it's the daily accountability, the daily motivation. So if we fall off track today, we don't go another week or 2 weeks or a month before we get back on track. No, no, no. We support each other, and we're right back up the next day. Maybe the day after that, fine, I'll give you 2 days, but we're right back at it, all right? We have 3 live group calls with me throughout the 30 days for added accountability. There's one in the very beginning, one in the middle, and then one at the end of the academy. And FYI, once you register and you're in the academy, you have lifetime access, all free updates. You never pay another dime again. As long as Entrepreneur Fitness Academy is around, you have continuous access to that. And again, the price obviously will continue to go up over the years, and the more information we add, the more value we add, but you will never pay another dime again. You're forever in there. So again, this is Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, guys, and what I'll say is this as well. There's also I provide, just because I believe in this as much as I do, there's a money-back guarantee as well with Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. So if you go through the 30 days and you realize, listen, man, I did all the work, it didn't give me what I wanted it to give me after these 30 days, literally send me an email. We'll jump on a call, and if you did the work and it didn't work for you, then by all means, you deserve to get your money back, and I'll gladly refund you your money. So just know that as well. And guys, you know what I'll do real quickly is this. I'll just give you a quick look here, since why not? This is what the behind the scene. This is what the academy looks like, by the way. So I'm hoping you guys can see this. But this is what the academy looks like right here. Actually, let me make sure you guys can see my screen. I am still sharing my screen. Am I? Guys, if you can't see my screen, let me know, but I'm pretty sure you can. Where's sharing? Yeah, share my screen. Okay. Guys, so here it is. Here's just a little background of it. So literally, this is what the dashboard looks like. So you come in here, and like literally, these are all the days. You just click on these days here, and then this is what's going to give you everyday access. But again, you're going to get a daily email from me with a daily video up top explaining that day, and the assignments are down bottom. They'll be down here, the assignments. And these are all your resources here to the right. You have your shopping menu and shopping list. So see if I click on one. Here's what it looks like. So standard, paleo, vegan. So for example, if you click vegan, it's going to go to this here. So here's your food menu and the shopping list down bottom. So that's just a little snippet of what that looks like. Let's get rid of this. And then, like I said, I provide you guys with exercise and workout vaults as well. So for example, if you click on that, you go here. So beginner workouts, look, beginner workout 5, 15, 30, or hey, I'm an intermediate for 15 minutes. You click on that, and it goes to YouTube, and you get a 15-minute exercise video you can follow along. So that's just a quick glimpse of behind the scenes of EFA, Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. And then these are just all resources here. There's bonus interviews for you guys as well. These are just 8 additional interviews. There's 8 in there already, but these are 8 additional interviews. Again, insights from other entrepreneurs as far as what they do to stay healthy, given their hectic, busy schedule. And again, wonderful, just a source of information you can leverage and utilize this as well. So just wanted to give you guys a quick snippet and look behind the scenes. And again, like I mentioned, there's this here as well, the Entrepreneur Fitness Academy private Facebook group. And this is where we just post and we hold each other accountable. And it's just been a game changer for so many of the Academy students that have come through. So, so anyways, guys, that's just a quick look at Entrepreneur Fitness Academy. And again, it ties into everything we just talked about here today with building these sustainable, healthy habits going forward. And again, this is just a lowdown, a laydown of the prices for the Academy. I'm going to give you here a link real quickly to check out, where you can check it out and see more information. But this is just an idea of what the prices are for the Academy if you're interested in it. Obviously, you see the premium there. That would include coaching calls with me every week. You can do the standard as well, which is pretty much what I showed you. It's the entire Academy, just without the one-on-one coaching with me every week. And then obviously there's a payment plan if need be. But again, guys, if this is something of interest, here's where you can register right here in this link right down here, programs.mygoncalves.com/EFA. You can actually click on that link. It's hyperlinked. So guys, you can actually click on that. And there's 25 spots remaining because we keep it small and intimate for a reason, just because I want to be as effective as possible, and I want to be as just in it as much as possible, almost like where there's a back and forth accountability with you and I and the rest of us as well. So we don't want it to get too big. So that's why 25 spots remaining, guys. And I'll even say this: if the first, if you're on here and you're committed to doing this, the first 5 people to sign up, what we'll do, first 5 people to sign up, go ahead and register. And once you register and it comes through, let me know, and we'll definitely give you a 25% discount on the academy. So again, if you register within the next, I would say, half an hour while we're doing some Q&A, we'll go ahead and provide you a 25% discount on any of these academy pricing. But again, registration, make it happen, guys, before we get off this call. And if you do that, discount for you. All right. So with that said, if there's any questions, I'm going to take them now. But if not, I'm going to leave this up here while we dive into questions. But let me see if I can get to questions here. Hold on 1 second, guys. Questions, if we have any. Okay. All right, guys, if there's questions, now I had some come in already, so I'm going to just kind of go through a couple of questions that I had that people sent me when they knew this, because I asked for people to send in questions if they had questions that I could cover during this webinar. But if you have questions, let me know, but I'm just going to cover a couple here right now. Number one was like, hey, Mike, like when it comes to these habits, the biggie was, what happens if I fall, does it get to a point where like I stop falling off track? Should I get to a point where I'm doing these habits regularly? Does that equal success? Like, how do I know when I'm successful? Is it like when I do 14 days in a row? Is it when I'm able to do 30 days in a row without falling off track? And that's a great question, because it all comes down to expectation, right? So the expectation is like we said earlier, showing up and working hard, knowing that we're going to fall off track. It's just part of the process. We're going to fall off track. And it's not about not falling off track. It's just about getting back on track as quickly as possible. And that is why, again, going back to Entrepreneur Fitness Academy, when you have that motivation, the accountability to hold you accountable every day, even if you fall off track, there's someone there to pick you up, to motivate you, to encourage you, to hold you accountable, to get back on track. So it's not about falling, guys. It's about getting back on track as quickly as possible when we do fall. That's the biggie to being successful. So to answer the question that was asked, it's like, how do you know you're successful? Success is just about getting back up. So, as long as you're, if we live a lifespan of 80 years, chances are we're going to fall a ton. But, hey, fall 100 times, get up 101 times, yes, but get up as quickly as possible. That's the key. Another question that was asked when it comes to, actually was pertaining to Entrepreneur Fitness Academy was like, hey, can I do this with someone? Can I do the academy? Can I, perhaps split the cost and like do it with someone? The answer to that is absolutely yes, you can. And the only thing, you can do all the worksheets, you can share the information, absolutely. The live group calls, obviously it's going to be, we're only going to have the person who's registered for the academy be on those live group calls. And the same goes for the private Facebook group. We can only have one, of the 2 people. So one of the 2 people in the Facebook group and also on the live calls. But other than that, you can more than welcome to share, the information, the exercise routines, the worksheets, if you print them out with whoever you want to do the academy, go through the academy with. So another great question. And yeah, someone asked about the money back guarantee, which we covered during the call. Yes, there absolutely is a money back guarantee. And again, the only thing I ask is that you just show me that you gave your best for the 30 days. Show me that, hey, you know what, Mike, I did the work and it just wasn't for me. It didn't mesh with me. Something just didn't click. So if you did the work and it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, by all means, we'll refund your money. No questions asked. Very good question there as well. I'm going to answer one more question, guys, and if we don't have any other questions, then we'll be good. We'll call it good, because I think we already went over an hour that I promised you guys. Last question here is, when it comes to exercise, if I only have, is cardio better than should I do weight? Should I do cardio? Is one better than the other? Very good question. When it comes to exercise, how I asked you guys to pick the 5 minutes you can do every day. At the end of the day, I'm gonna say this again. The habit matters more than what you're doing and how much you're doing. So first things first, just start with that habit. Start with the habit. So whether you want to do go around block for 5 minutes running, or whether you want to do burpees and burpees and push-ups for 5 minutes. You know, one's weight training, one is cardio. They're both going to be effective, because to create sustainable health habits that last, it's all about being consistent. So again, it almost doesn't matter what you're doing and how much of it you're doing. It's just that you're consistent with it. If you do that for 30 days and you find yourself, man, I've been out of these 30 days, I've been consistent 28 out of the 30, and you build that consistency, then you can start dialing in like, okay, well now what do I do specifically for the goals I'm out to achieve? Whether it's weight loss, whether it's, you know, a leaner stomach, whether it's to be able to run, you know, a half marathon. But first things first, in order to create those healthy habits that are sustainable, that last, start by building the habit first for 30 days, and then get more specific as far as like, you know, what to do. And I can definitely help you with that. Obviously, you know, whether you go through the academy for 30 days, I can help you with that as we go, or whether, you know, you do it on your own and, you know, after the 30 days, you reach out to me and say, hey, Mike, you know, now I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z. What do I do now? So let me know, you know, how I can help you, and I'll definitely do that. Question here. I think Eugenia, I wonder about the nutrition part. Should I go to a nutritionist before starting this academy to know what's good for me? I'm not going to discourage you going. I don't think you need to go. I really don't. I think it becomes, we keep it, again, I always say, if you can, the more simple you keep it, the better, because I have no beef with nutritionists, but sometimes, you know, when we get to like, you know, calorie counting and counting of macros and how much, you know, grams of this you have and how much carbs, and sometimes it becomes so complex. And again, this is what I've seen over almost 2 decades worth of working with clients, where it's like sometimes it's gotten so complex that they end up doing none of it because it is complex. So the way we roll in the academy is like, listen, keep it clean, keep it healthy, and keep it natural when it comes to eating. So what do I mean by that? The closer you stay to a natural food, like for example, a fruit, a vegetable, a grain, an almond, an egg, the closer you stay to natural foods, the lean meats, the chicken, the fish, the closer you stay to natural, the better off you'll be. Healthy, natural foods, you're better off that way, and then there's smaller portions. And smaller portions, it doesn't have to be weighing, it doesn't have to be counting calories. We can literally eyeball it, and I provide you with a cheat sheet in the academy as far as like what portion sizes should look like, so you know exactly, oh, this is how big the piece of chicken should be. This is how much, you know, quinoa I should be having. So, so to answer your question, Eugenia, yes, you can see a nutritionist if it works for you. You don't have to. So just know that, all right? Great question, though. Great question. Guys, we are going to wrap up. If there's no other questions, we are going to wrap up because, again, I want to be respectful of your time. Again, if the academy looks like it's for you guys, let me know. Register. Send me an email saying, Mike, I registered during your academy, during this webinar. And, again, I'll provide you with a refund of 25%. I'll shoot that right back to you as a thank you for joining the academy and for committing to it. If not, no worries either. What matters to me is that you are at your best, you feel your best going forward, and then you create sustainable, healthy habits that are going to make you feel, be, and live your absolute best at the end of the day. That's why I do the work I do, and I really appreciate you guys, you know, committing this time to this webinar, and I hope it was helpful. So without further ado, guys, if there's nothing else, thank you so much. I will leave this page, even though I'll sign off, I will leave this page up here for another couple of minutes. And then I'll bring it down, and then obviously the academy will be at its normal pricing. But again, guys, thank you so much for being on here. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful week ahead, and I will chat with you guys soon. Cheers.